4 million. A variance of 1.9 million was recorded. FY-2026 proposed income and PSR fee recorded 800,000. MFDP concern on matter fee for presentation noted discrepancies between CD's figure and MFDP records. The reason provided that internally generated revenue was not reported through MFDP. It was stressed that all revenue must be captured in the national budget. Reported allotment to date, 1.2 million. Emphasized the need for accuracy in reporting. Legislative concern. Honorable Johnson Williams requested clarity on the disparities. Phoebe admitted failure to report internally generated revenue, cited lack of information on reporting requirements. Honorable Debbie noted similar issues in the FY 2024 budget. Honorable Judy, where as if fee structures align with government reporting standard, which the Phoebe confirmed. Boto urged closer coordination with FDP for accurate reporting between Phoebe and the MFDP. Discussion on the 1.2 million staff support. Honorable Jones raised concern about accounting of staff support fund. Reported discrepancy. Phoebe claimed 1 million received. Out of the 1 million, Phoebe received 855,000. Could not locate this under the MOH budget. In response, the MFDP said was unaware of the amount. Phoebe explanation indicated that staff are not MOH employees stationed at Phoebe Hospital does not directly pay them. Observation. Risk of double reporting since records appear on MOH and Phoebe. Resolution. Honorable Margaret Thomas advised Phoebe to note such funds separately in the future financial statement to avoid double counting. Discussion on the PSRP proposal. Phoebe reported the use of 200,000 for road pavement leading to the hospital. Honorable Jones raised a concern and stated that construction work is not the responsibility of Phoebe. However, Honorable Winner noted that the access road to the hospital is deplorable and there was a need to undertake such construction, and noted that even said amount is insufficient to undertake the work that is required. Honorable Margaret Thomas asked if the construction work was in line with public works standard to ensure that construction meets acceptable safety requirements. In response, Phoebe emphasized the urgent need to improve access road in view of the poor road condition and promised to liaise with public work to ensure safety standard. Committee guardians. Honorable Johnson Williams reminded the Phoebe that accurate and timely reporting is a legal requirement. In closing, MFDP indicated committing, reviewing and correcting all issues relating to reporting. Yeah.
Inquiry. Where are you reading from? Because what is before us, I'm not following. I don't see. Or you give a detailed explanation, or it's according to what you presented.
I'm on page 5. Sometimes I elaborate just for clarity.
Keep the elaboration a little bit. Yeah. So
I'm on page 5.
Let's deal with the document as presented here.
Okay, page 5. Page 5. Okay. Closing comment. Committed to reviewing, correcting issues. Phoebe, collaboration with Phoebe to ensure compliance and accuracy in future reports. Key observation. Recurrent absences. Multiple health institutions fail to appear, raising oversight concern. Reporting discrepancies. Phoebe Hospital's financial reporting lack internally generated revenue, creating inconsistencies with MFDP records. Staff reporting fund. Lack of clarity on MOA staff station at Phoebe raised double counting. Infrastructure needs. Phoebe's request for road funding highlight urgent local challenges but falls outside its mandate. Committee emphasis. Accuracy, transparency, and compliance with reporting standards remain top priorities. Action taken. Ministry of Health to appear on December 8th. JFK and MPhil to appear on December 10th. Phoebe Hospital to improve financial reporting and coordinate with MFDP. LBO to issue formal communication to absent entities and enforce accountability measures. Liberia Medical and Dental Council, represented by Dr. Cassell, Chairman, and his team appear for the Legislative Committee to present its financial performance, institutional concern, and budgetary proposals. The Ministry of the MFDP also participated, providing clarification on fiscal matters and revenue management. Financial performance. FY-2025 approved budget $992,64,000. Year-to-date expenditure $992,64,000. The LMDC reported 100% budget execution. Internally generated revenue projection $156,225. Actual collection $114,275. Revenue derived primarily from licensing and accreditation fees. FY-2026 proposed budget. Projected revenue $295,575. Revenue sharing 35% of internally generated revenue to be submitted to the government of Liberia. Projected expenditure $1.0 million. Institutional concern raised by LMDC. Dr. Cassell outlined several challenges: inadequate facilities for operation, lack of logistics to support service delivery, increasing legal matters requiring a dedicated lawyer, transition toward digital operations, including migration from manual receipt to electronic receipt. Major requests: $500,000 for the construction of a new head office, deemed essential for effective supervision and improved revenue generation. MFDP comment. MFDP confirmed close collaboration with LMDC, acknowledged that construction of a modern head office is essential for institutional efficiency, improved revenue generation. Committee discussion and queries. Michael Thomas query whether internally generated revenue is collected manually or routed through the Liberia Revenue Authority. Asked if LNDC should be included in the national revenue envelope. In response, a dedicated account will be created for GOL 30% share. Until then, all payments are routed through the LRA. Dr. Cassell committed to providing the MOU between the LMDC and MFDP outlining revenue collection and remittance procedures. Honorable Sibo noted that LMDC's primary request of $500,000 for construction of his head office is justifiable. He emphasized that the facility will significantly improve revenue generation. Honorable Jones, to MFDP, asked whether LMDC's revenue was considered in the FY-2026 draft national budget. In response, a percentage of LMDC's revenue was captured. To LMDC, requested year-to-date remittance received from MFDP. LMDC response: $992,064 received at GOL transfer. To MFDP, asked whether upward outturns of other ministries and agencies affected MDC's allocation. MFDP response: adjustments are made through transfer from the contingency reserve. Additional clarification. Honorable Sibo questioned why MFDC's transfer exceeded 100%. LMDC's response: frequent inflow of intern data derived fluctuations in the expenditure and fund movement way forward. Honorable Sibo proposed the establishment of a special committee to work with LMDC and MFDP to determine accurate budgetary numbers, reconcile discrepancies in financial reporting. The committee appointed included Honorable Sibo, Honorable Bawe, and Honorable Yogbo. Observations. LMDC has demonstrated strong budget execution 100%, but faces challenges in revenue collection with actual internally generated revenue falling short of projections. The institution's reliance on licensing and accreditation fees highlight the need for diversification of revenue streams. The request for a new head office is justified as a means of enhancing supervision, service delivery, and revenue generation. MLDP's acknowledgement of LMDC's concern indicates alignment between the council and the ministry on institutional strengthening. Discrepancies in transfers and expenditure highlight the need for improved financial reconciliation and oversight. Recommendation on this note. 1. Head office construction. Approve allocation of 500,000 for LMDC's new head office to strengthen institutional capacity. Digital transformation. Expedite migration to electronic receipting to improve transparency and efficiency. Legal support. Provide resources to LMDC to hire a dedicated lawyer to manage increasing legal matters. 4. Revenue management. Establish a dedicated account for GOL 30% share of internally generated revenue with clear documentation of MOU between LMDC and the MFDP. Budgetary reconciliation. Appointed committee should reconcile discrepancies and establish accurate financial projections for FY-2026. Oversight. Strengthen monitoring mechanism to ensure LMDC's revenue and expenditure align with national fiscal policies. Liberia Medical and Health Product Regulatory Authority. Representation. Dr. Bawe, Managing Director, along with Director of Finance and Controller. Proceedings. It was established that LMHRA had not been properly informed about the scheduled meeting. Due to the communication gap, the committee agreed the entity was not adequately prepared.
Presiding, my observation is to the Director of LBO. The time being consumed, I think, is too much. Please, next time, we want you to go to key recommendations. So I think we can now go to key recommendations from yesterday so that we have enough time to have the hearing. Thank you.
Okay.
Observation sustained. Call the name of the institution,
Okay.
the beginning aspects, and go strictly to the recommendation.
Okay, the recommendation that the LMHRA will reappear and be ready for presentation. AIDS Commission was represented by a Deputy Commissioner, and the Commissioner was absent, and because the Commissioner was not officially authorized, it was the decision of the committee for the AIDS Commission to reappear. The National Food, Fee and Safety Authority was represented by its head of entity, Priscilla Cheru, and team. Financial report. FY-2025 approved budget, 200,000. Expenditure to date, 186,000. FY-2026 proposed budget, 655,000. Recommendations. Honorable Debbie recommended collaboration between MFDP to refine and complete strategic plan given to improve the national food safety and security. A subcommittee was established to work with the entity and assess operational revenue potential. Members of the committee include Honorable Toes, Honorable Jones, and Honorable Debbie. The hearings were officially adjourned by Honorable Thomas with the following observations across entities. Procedural preparedness. Procedural preparedness. LMHRA and the National AIDS Commission were retired due to communication lapses and procedural issues. Governance standard. The AIDS Commission faced scrutiny for absence of leadership and appropriate representation. Institutional development. The full fee and safety authority demonstrated ambition, presenting a strategic plan, revenue potential, and expansion goal, but faced questions about budget clarity and alignment. Legislative oversight. Committee members emphasized legitimacy, transparency, strategic planning as prerequisites for institutional efficiency. Conclusions for Day 2. Day 2 of the FY-2026 budget hearing underscored the legislators' insistence on accountability, transparency, and compliance in financial reporting. While FB Hospital provided substantive input, recurring absences of major health institutions raised concern about executive responsiveness to legislative oversight. The hearing highlighted critical governance operational challenges across Liberia's health and safety institutions. While the LMHRA and the AIDS Commission must address procedural compliance before re-engagement, the full fee and safety authorities show potential for growth but require refined strategic planning and budget alignment. The committee reinforced the importance of accurate reporting, institutional legitimacy, and revenue generating capacity as foundation for sustainable national development. Mr. Chairman, this constitutes the reading of the record of decision for the 2. I respectfully submit. Thank you.
Thank you, LBO. Fellow colleagues, having listened to the report, we go to matter arising and thereafter adopt the report for our records. Anything, matter arising? If there is nothing, okay, we'll get a motion to adopt.
Motion. Mr. Chairman, co-chairman, fellow colleagues, and our witnesses from the executive. Having listened to an extensive reading of our record of decision of the 2 sitting of the expenditure hearing into the 2026 budget, I move, if I can obtain a second, Mr. Chairman, that the record of decision just being read, be received, be archived, and considered as one of our documents that constitute the operations of the Committee on Ways, Means, Finance and Development Planning. If I can obtain a second.
Without repeating the motion, are you ready to vote? All in favor say yea. Contrary? LBO take note, motion carried. What we intend to do, LBO take note, is that the records of decision is our daily journal. And so at the end of the day, we try to get rid of repetitions and we make into a document of daily journal, what we call records of decision for 2026 budget year. And that will be made available in our archives. Thank you. Fellow colleagues, before we commence the presentations for today, I'd like to re-emphasize and underscore the point of the appearances of our colleagues from the executive. Let it be known to those that are not appearing. This is a constitutional mandate to look at appropriations. And so the power with us vested is to do budgetary adjustment, and in so doing, if you are not here to justify reasons why we should give you money, it means you don't want the money. As the people's deputies, we are close to the authority to check for value for money, and that can only be done at this time. Throughout the year, as we started in this year, we will carry on periodic monitoring of how the budget is being implemented and how revenues are being raised. But we are hereby saying, once you did not appear and reschedule you, and you don't appear, you will experience budgetary cuts. Having said that, there is something that is repeated throughout the records. IGA, internally generated funds. Let us say, we've been striving over the years, and we thank God that our budget, for all of these measures that we are taking on a yearly basis, the budget is growing. We continue to emphasize in areas that we have not been focusing where revenues are generated. One such area is within health, education, and the judiciary. Within the education area, schools the students pay some minimum required fees, and in the health sector, registration and other minimum fees. The interest of this committee is to capture those amounts and to build up our budget. We have not captured them. We are not even thinking about, it is not at this juncture to think about requesting entities to report that money, but to capture so that that money can be reflected into our budget, which will show some form of growth within the budget. You collect the money, you use it, nobody is asking you. What we are saying, report the figures to the Ministry of Finance so that if that 300,000 you are using per institution times the number of institutions is going to go into millions. And those figures need to be reflected in our national budget, because those are monies that have been collected and spent in this country. Having said that, I'd like to say thank you. We'll now move on to the presentations for the day. Again, fellow colleagues, we have before us today, and we're going to begin with the Ministry of Education. Madam Minister and your team would like to say welcome to the expenditure here. We would like to get our own presentations on the 2025 budget, year to date if possible. Let us know the figures and what you are projected at 2026 and what you are going to do with that. Welcome. The microphone is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Observation.
I think they need to be placed on an oath.
It's not done.
No.
Admission of oath is okay. I escaped that. It's on the agenda. Admission of oath.
Another observation.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at the videos, the Minister, Popo, and some of our deputies are they far because we got at the MCSS or one of these.
The adjustment will be made. Thank you. Administration of oath. I'm sorry that I jumped over that. Yeah. And we do this because you are coming to address the Liberian people, and by administering the oath, you are to talk or say the truth and only the truth. Thank you.
So shall we all rise, please? Ministry of Education. Education only, please.
No, so you can do everybody.
All the guests here.
Okay, so everybody, let's stand. Please stand to me, raise your right hand. Please stand to me, please. Please face me, please.
Face the sergeant. Turn around.
Please raise your right hand. Call your name and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that the testimony I am about to give, as it relates to this hearing, will be the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. So all Muslims, Quran is here available. So if you are Muslim, just let me. Thank you, Honorable Chairman, Honorable Co-Presiding Officer, and distinguished Honorable ladies and gentlemen. The witnesses are hereby qualified for today's hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sergeant Arms. We, as observed by the honorable gentleman, if you sit according to the organization that you represent and mainly sitting closer to the reporting head of the entity, such adjustment can be made now. We won't allow you to consult. You can consult the report, so let's sit closer to your bosses.
FPO. We have Ministry of Education report.
You just received. Okay, please distribute it. What's about your own analysis? Give it. Okay, thank you. There's somebody help on the other side. That's your help LBO. Okay, I think we are done. LBOC's movements, and I'd like to say to the Minister of Education the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable members of the Finance Committee, thank you for the invitation to come and engage on our responsibility to the budget of 2025, as well as our 2026 request for budgetary support. I am here with my senior management team to present to the Honorable Committee. I would also like to stress there are in our report some updates that were added this morning. The request for appearance today was received yesterday, so we made it our business to make sure we honored the invitation as expediently as we were required to do. So whatever it is that we will be presenting, we'll certainly submit to the LBO from here. And in the request from the Honorable Committee, we were asked to highlight the budget performance for 2025. We're also asked to submit a detailed breakdown of our approval allocation, actual disbursements and expenditure, the variance analysis on our performance, and present our fiscal year 2026 programmatic submission and summary of key deliverables and achievements under fiscal year 2025. So those are the various topic areas that we will be presenting today. As relates to our summary by category of expenditure, we are at 96% performance for compensation for employees, goods and services. We are about 40%. However, we have a lot in processing right now to clear. Subsidies, we are 52%. Grants, we are 81%. And the PSIP, we are 47%. Total percentage in terms of our budget performance stands at 82%. But we have 7 million outstanding that is still in process in the following categories. Vouchers have been processed for the school expansion under PSIP. We have 3 JSS school expansions ongoing. The supply of laboratory equipment for 50 schools, 50 public schools. Dry erase boards that were procured. Construction of school feeding centers to support our school feeding program. And school feeding for our students that could have lost support due to the USAID drawdown. We were able to maintain 146 schools that would have lost that that support. We'll also have pending vouchers at in transit to MFDP for our M&E program and the digital program launched program that we have, the Liberia Learns radio and TV program and internet website platform. We also have purchase orders for stationery, scratch cards, cleaning material, and petroleum products in process at the moment. So in terms of our performance, that's where we stand as a ministry. So I will just highlight justification for performance. On the compensation for employees, we have 3 million plus under other compensation for employees, and that was specific for volunteer teachers, and the delay in processing our volunteer teachers hindered this disbursement. But I'm happy to report as of this sitting, the Ministry of Education has translated to the CSA 2,148 volunteer teachers to be placed on payroll this fiscal year. And due to some delays at the CSA, we didn't get that at the time that we wanted. But thankfully, that is done now. And that submission to Ministry of Finance have been done. Ministry of Finance have placed those folks on payroll, and the documents have come back to the CSA. So under goods and services, we have other rental and leases. That is in excess of $341,393. And the reason for the delay in that performance is most of the schools, public schools that the ministry is operating, most of those leases were expired. And they were not expired just 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So we have taken the responsibility to engage with General Services Agency to ensure that they renew those leases so that we can make timely payments to the leaseholders for those schools. And I will stress that we undertook assessments of some of these buildings that the ministry are leasing, and some of them are not in the kind of capacity that encourages safe learning. So we are going to drop some of those schools and relocate our students and teachers and administrators to safe environments. But as it relates to goods and services, that is why that delay occurred. Under subsidy and grants, we have processed and submitted vouchers to MFDP for payment. There are 4 counties outstanding and 4 areas outstanding, and we've engaged those 4 counties to make sure they submit their request for quarter allotments to get those in. Under the PSIP, the Public Sector Investment Project, we are currently processing the last batch of the procurement documents for submission to MFDP. Actually, the procurement documents have been processed. Vouchers are at MFDP, so we're just waiting for check making for most of them. For education supplies under fiscal year, not education supplies, excuse me. I'm now going to go under the category of expenditure. As I indicated, we wanted to, under compensation of employees, we were approved $37.9 million. The variance that we have now, this is the fiscal year 26 request I'm going into. So, yes, fiscal year 26. So for fiscal year 25, we had $37.9 million approved. We did we received that, but the variance of what we need to hire additional volunteer teachers and conduct salary top-ups and incentive for rural teachers will need $8 million, a little over $8 million to do so. We want our teachers to be compensated well. We have to make sure that we pay them. To do well, we have to make sure we pay them. We all understand the challenge of volunteer teachers in our system. If we must get quality in the classroom, we have to migrate volunteer teachers to payroll. So we're asking for this support also to incentivize rural teachers. We want to have rural teachers in the rural areas. They have extreme hardship to do their work. So we want to be able to incentivize teachers that will be in the rural areas so that they are able to stay there and do the work that we need them to do. Under use of goods and services, we were approved $8.4 million in the fiscal year budget for the MFDP draft for fiscal year 26 is at $8.673 million. The variance that we have there is $775,000. We need additional education and school supplies. We see children going to school. Sometimes people may overlook the fact that giving a book bag and school supplies to students, how long it will go to encourage them to come to school and have the materials that they will need, as well as the instructional supplies for teachers in the classroom. Under subsidies, we were budgeted for fiscal year 25, $887,000. This year, MFDP draft is $1.1 million, so we didn't have any variance there. Under grants, we were budgeted $1.2 million. For fiscal year 26 draft, we have $1.28 million by MFDP, so there's no variance there. Under non-financial assets, we have $4.7 million. we were approved 4.7 million, which is the PSIP that the 4.7 million was for. We have the additional needs, and the variance in our request is an additional 1.6 million. And the idea for this request is our CEOs and DEOs in the counties, they need movement. If we're going to expect them to be able to do the monitoring and supervision, we need to equip them. Most of those bikes and vehicles that they have are 4 or 5 years old, and all the time have breakdown and need mechanical, maintenance, and they don't have the tools. So we need to make sure our CEOs and DEOs have bikes and vehicles for their movement, as well as central office. We need vehicles. Like my vehicle, I took over from my predecessor. That's the vehicle I'm still using. It's always breaking down. But, we must focus to get the most prioritized thing done, and then we'll come back to that. It's not purchasing vehicles because somebody want to ride a new vehicle. No. My focus is really to get the CEOs and even the assistant ministers and my technical staff, the directors, they need movement. The next area of support is the expansion. We saw the iRise project that delivered 2 modern senior secondary schools. The plan of the Ministry of Education, one of our major priorities is infrastructure, is to make sure we have one of that type of modern secondary school in each county across the country. So our ask is to have 3 of those schools built in kind, as we have in Bon County, in Nimba, and the one we're about to commission in Mantibi. These will help us advance STEM education as well as digital learning across our country. We also want to expand school feeding and school health initiatives. We understand the importance of school health and nutrition, and we know the challenges with malnutrition in our country. Kids cannot learn if they are hungry. And most of what has happened in our country over the years as it relates to school feeding, partners have come to deliver school feeding programs. And those school feeding programs have not been operated in a systematic way. So the government has taken ownership of the school feeding program so that we know what our students are receiving nutritionally, how often, and structuring school feeding so that we get the maximum benefit for our young people who are receiving the school feeding program. And that is going to be focused for kindergarten through to 6th grade, including our public ECE early childhood education centers. So that is that sums up the additional budget requests that the Ministry of Education has requested. It's a total of 40 million that we have made requests for. And I just want to highlight for what MFDP has submitted as a draft in 2026, we only have an increase of $50,000 from last year's budget. So we need, if we truly have education anchored in the arrest agenda, we need to put the funds where they need to be. I know one might say we have, secured for the Excel project 88.7 million. That money goes only to primary education. It is not focused on secondary education, and that's where additional support is needed, as well as the administrative operations of the ministry in terms of salary top-ups, the incentive, the rural incentive, and the vehicle and tools and resources that our counties will need. So we want to, with this request, hire an additional 1,000 volunteer teachers. As I indicated, we're able to put 2,148 on payroll. We want to hire an additional 1,000 volunteer teachers. We want to employ 150 teachers, administrators, and support staff for our 3 model schools. We currently have them on supplemental payroll. because those schools were commissioned during the year, during the middle of the year. We want to do salary top-up for 4,223 underpaid teachers, as well as we want to hire 55 administrative staff at both central and county offices. Because of the work that we have laid out, these county offices need the capacity that they currently do not have. While we're going to build capacity of those that are there, we need the extra set of hands to ensure that the work that we need to do in the counties are done. Lastly, we want to incentivize our rural teachers and administrators. So under the public sector investment plan, we are asking for $29 million. The expansion and improvement of education infrastructure, as I stated, provision of chairs for our public schools under the President's one child, one chair policy. We want to, as I stated, construct 3 additional model schools, and we want to promote STEM and digital learning across the various school facilities as we continue to expand our school feeding program. What are some of the key accomplishments of the Ministry of Education under the fiscal year budget and performance? Is our securing and ratification. I want to thank the committee for ratifying the Excel project. It's a major project that is going to see major reforms across primary education in our country. I know it has been, touted as the 100 school construction, but that is just a component of what this project is going to deliver for Liberia. We have also secured $40 million grants from the MasterCard Foundation that will be being executed by the Education Development Center for the Leaders in Training project. And that is going to benefit 3,200 school leaders, 9,000 plus teachers. We're going to have additional 11,200 teachers to be trained across our public and faith-based institutions. More importantly, 50,000 students will receive work readiness skills support through the LIT, the Leaders in Teaching project. This is a project that has been rolled out in Accra, Ghana, and we've studied it and were able to engage and make sure that this support comes to Liberia. Now, while the $40 million is not coming into government coffers, we are working very closely with the Education Development Center to ensure that the needs of Liberia, the needs of the sector is what is going to be addressed in the execution of this project. We've completed 3 senior secondary schools. 2 were commissioned. 1 is to be commissioned. It's nearing completion. It's about 90% complete. They're doing finishings now in Margibi. And Honorable Jones, I think you'll be happy to hear that. It's going to be up and coming. And we also have 3 additional school expansions ongoing in Bomi, Beartown School, Monserrato, the School of the Blind. We're extending premises there. We have overcrowding. And what they've done at the School of the Blind is not just students with disabilities, they are integrating students without disabilities in the school as well. So students are learning together and growing together, and they need the space there. So we are expanding the School of the Blind as well. And in Lofa, Quadruboni, the junior secondary school, we're expanding to a senior high school because there's no senior high school in that area. We have outfitted 28 senior secondary schools with science laboratory equipment. We also have procured and deployed, we're in the process of that deployment, 22,500 science kits for elementary schools to start to get our students and young people engaged in science at the lower grade. So by the time they get to junior high school, this will be a familiar a subject for them. We've also trained teachers to be able to deliver the instruction on the utilization of those science kits. We've procured science laboratory equipment for 50 senior secondary schools. Those are due in country, I think December, yes. And also including the renovation of 50 additional senior secondary schools to make sure that we have the requisite space for the science labs in those schools across the country. I indicated earlier that we've processed 2,148 volunteer teachers. The first batch was 448. The second batch was 405. The third batch was 1,295. We've rolled out the B certificate program at Zara TTI and WRTTI. That's our teacher training institutions. We had to decongest KRTTI because that was the only TTI that had B certificate. So now we've rolled out at the 3 TTI the B certificate program to decongest KRTTI. What we've also done is align the curriculum. What we had is that students will go to the TTI, they will graduate, but when they want to go to say, UL or any other institutions, sometimes we have to start all over. So what we've done this time is pull all of the universities together and say, look, we're one country. We can't have our people go to one school, then when they want to go to another school, they tell them you have to start all over. We must align this curriculum so that the people have an easy, continuation in transfer. So that has been done, and we want to say thank you to the EU that have supported us with the funding support to make sure that this alignment was done, along with the team at the ministry. We are also constructing, if we're going to expand school feeding, we need school feeding centers. When we told the country how our children were eating, the food they were eating, the place their food were being prepared, it really did not demonstrate dignity for me and the team. So we're building 25 school feeding centers across the country. We have completed our annual school census. And as the chairman indicated about the reason why these engagements are important is, one, the accountability of being stewards of the people's money, but also using data, the importance of using data to develop budgets. You just don't ask for money because you think you need to do this, you need to do that. But what is the census speaking to when it comes to the number of students we've enrolled in school, the number of teachers we have? All of those we need so that when we make budget requests, it's data driven. So we've been able, since 2021, we never had a census, but this administration, we've been able to deliver an annual school census for fiscal year 2025. And that final census document is due for publishing in the next few days. We've procured 25,000 armchairs, both for the lower grades and higher grades, that will be distributed. Portion of those chairs were produced locally, so job creation and making sure we're supporting Liberian businesses, as well as bringing some in because of the production capacity. So we want to make sure we had them on hand to distribute to our schools. We've done top-up salary for 9,381 teachers. We've also expanded the school feeding and nutrition support to vulnerable learners. As I indicated, USAID were operating in 146 schools, and those young people would have lost support. But the ministry and the support that we received from the MFDP were able to keep those students on, as well as the scholarship recipients on the USA test project. We had students who were studying abroad that we were able to maintain. We're now working on the students that were internal, the internal students that were across our institutions here. And we need these educators to complete their program so that we can have them placed in the schools. We've been able to secure 26,000 book bags through donor support for distribution to public school students, mostly at the primary level. And we updated our early childhood education curriculum. Additional accomplishments, we've improved digitization, and I think it will impress you all that when we took over, we had about 820 schools in compliance with school permits. As of our speaking, that compliance have gone to 2,500 schools now in compliance because of the strict monitoring we have on that process. And LRA have projected $260,000 in terms of revenue projection for the school permit process. But as we speak, the latest report is that we've exceeded that at 265% increase in revenue generation for the permit application process to ensure that we have not only permitted schools, but that schools are in compliance with the Ministry of Education. We've also, but the challenges still remain, and that is why we are making the plea for budgetary support. We still have inadequate resources to properly manage the sector. We have systematic inefficiencies that we're working to improve for our learners to ensure that their progression in education is on track. The lack of supervision and accountability system is also hindering the performance of the sector. Delayed transition of personnel after we submitted the personnel action notices. We need to work to make sure between the CSA and the MFDP to fast track these requests when they are submitted, to the various entities for processing. Science and computer education seems to be another area that we must focus as a country. Our students need to be competitive, not only within the country, but also outside. When we send our scholarship students abroad, the type of deficit sometimes in terms of their report and preparation is not encouraging. And we need to make sure we're strengthening them in the country before they even go out, even the ones that stay here. The overcrowding in our classrooms, we need to also address, and that's why we're asking for the expansion of school buildings. And then the chairs and school furniture deficit. The insufficient trained school leaders and teachers. We're happy that the Leaders in Training program project is here, and Excel is going to support some of that, but we need additional support because those projects do not pay salaries. They do not go to salary compensation. So, salary or compensation, so we need support for that. The good thing we want to say is that we have increased numbers of overage students. That means students are coming to school now, but they are overage. So we have to find means to make sure we have some accelerated programs so that we're placing students in the right class and we're teaching at the right level. So I will conclude here and take your questions, take questions from the Honorable Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Minister. It's a very lengthy, great presentation. For cross-examination, we'd like to start with the Ministry of Finance, if you have any comments, before going over to the Lawmakers. Ministry of Finance.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Madam Minister. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. To me, it was very impressive. I know we've been working together, but the Ministry of Education is a very critical component of our development agenda. And I want to applaud you for what you have been doing and what you have in mind to do in the future.
So what I wanted to find out really was, I didn't hear you talk, or maybe you did, on early childhood education. You know, because that's key. Most of our children here in Liberia don't have this opportunity to start school at an early age, intermediately at the end. So I know we're pushing for enhancing or the early childhood education components. And then also there are children in Liberia who may be slow learners. How do we ensure that they are not left behind? You know, do we have programs here now as part of our school systems? I didn't hear that. To ensure that they are also captured and they have the opportunities to learn just like most of us had. So those are the main things I wanted to say. I don't have any questions on your budget. We set you a ceiling and we should live within, but given what you said today, we see that the needs are many. How are we going to solve that? We will have a discussion on that. We may not be able to meet all your demands at once, but we know the sector is very key to us, so we pay attention to you. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Minister. Fellow colleagues, your turn. I'll start with Honorable Cassie. Is your hand up? Put your hand up, woman. Thank you.
Thank you, Presiding, co-presiding, colleagues. Minister, let me say thank you for your presentation. Whenever you appear before us, we will always be impressed because we get a lot from you. We know no one can claim perfection, but the fact is that you do some extra thing that we're proud to all as a country. We want to acknowledge that. We have a few things that we want to cross-examine you on, but I want to start with Ministry of Finance. Ministry of Finance, we have a budget before us of $1.211 billion. Almost 36% increment in our current budget. I'm looking at what is before me, that there's absolutely no increment in the budget of Ministry of Education. And my fear is that I hope that the Excel project did not lead to that decision. Because sometimes the donor projects are intended to enhance what we already have, to strengthen our policies. So for us to feel that yes, because the Excel project is here, for which we should not increase Ministry of Education budget, I think it's something that we need to look at critically. Because the budget for 2025, 37 million, 2026, 37, I think there's a difference of 50,000 as per the analysis by LPO. So that's first thing I want to take note of. Is worrisome. It's something that should claim our attention. Having said that, I want to go to Ministry about the presiding. I see the expansion and strengthening of national school fee, $1 million. Not year to date, we did not see anything in terms of outturn. Page 368. The national draft budget. Yeah. So I want you to speak to that because there's nothing telling me as per this budget. Nothing is telling me that you've used it and how you intend going about it. We will also need a detailed explanation if submission of document that what I said earlier may be a gavel will tell you whether you should bring it now or moving forward. I see $1.8 million on the expansion of the school feeding with another nomenclature added, school health initiatives. It's gone to 108. We want a detailed report or the breakdown on it to guide us as we go through execution. The one child, one chair project, we emphasize that the president need that, and also every one of us who represent the 73 districts, we got key interest in knowing schools to benefit, so that if we are to go next year, if you have 4 or 5 counties benefiting this year, next year, those counties, you could say, let leave them now and take another 3 or 4 counties. So please tell us what your strategy being used with regards to how you want to spend this 500,000. If there's a need for us to increase, speak to us, and then we'll move from that. I want to go to the office of the minister. The office of the minister is on page 367. 367, Madam Minister, you have a budget of 1.5. We will need, please, a detail of that budget to inform us as to what all constitute this 1.5. If not, people will just assume that you got one minister who makes 1.5 million or who have the right to use 1.5. So please provide us details of the 1.5. And that goes back to Ministry of Finance. The budget, you see, there are some places where the increment is very low. But generally, I want to put it because there's no much increment in education budget. So we want to speak to that first. But to close on, Madam Minister, I don't know how do you or what yardstick is being used for allotment to our counties. If we look at Neighbor County, how many educational districts do we have in Neighbor? And when you do the math right here, so we are in this public gallery, do the math for me. The allotment for Neighbor, do the math as to what is the allotment or what will be the allotment for each of those educational districts. Little or nothing. These budgets are intended for efficiency and will lead to productivity. But if we do not give the support to these people, Madam Minister, I think we are heading nowhere. We will sit in Monrovia and sing all of the big and fine praises and talk the beautiful thing, but down there, the budget is not reflecting what our people need. I hope we look at it. So I would just want to if I had the opportunity again to come back, maybe based on the answer you provide, I'll be a follow-up. Thank you.
I would have loved for the minister to take a couple of questions, but he already loaded the minister with several questions. So, fellow colleagues, let's hold on. Too many questions from Honorable Milikia. Let the ministers respond, and then we come to the following group by starting from my left. Honorable Jones, Double Weir. Oh, your hand up, man. Okay, we'll go down this way, yeah. Okay. So, Madam Minister, I don't want you to forget any of these, but how many questions you have? 37? Yeah, okay. No, you're not coming here. Yeah. Okay, dispensation. Go tell you coming. Follow up to the DEO. So let her respond. Maybe to cover your question, then we'll see.
Thank you, Mr. I will just shed light on what MFDP I think stress on the early childhood education. The Excel project, focus of that project is foundational learning, and that covers kindergarten through 6th grade. and the focus is to improve literacy and numeracy. Most of our young people up to grade 3, over the last data I looked at was between 80 to 90% that could not read with comprehension. And that's the foundation that we need to fix. So under ECE, that's why the Excel project is timely and is going to deliver for us improved literacy and numeracy skills in our youngest learners. You asked about slow learners and students with, delayed capabilities. What the ministry has done is engage UNESCO to support us with a project or program to support these learners. We have received some favorable green lights, although the final is not here yet. It's going to be not only for students who suffer dyslexia, and that's slow reading comprehension, and students who are on the spectrum, the autism spectrum. So those are areas that the ministry, because inclusion in girls' education is our #1 priority, that is why those engagements have been made to ensure that that support comes to the sector. Honorable Glika asked first about the expansion of the National School Feeding Program, the outturn that he's not seeing. And due to delays into the disbursement for PSIP, for the PSIP project, that is what was the major factor. But where are we now? We are positioned to deliver food items. That's going to cover over 300,000 of those funds. As I indicated, we're constructing school feeding centers, 25 for across the country. We're also bringing on 2,000 additional students that are going to benefit from the school feeding program. Currently, across the school feeding landscape that our partners were supporting, only 13 counties were receiving school feeding. But the addition of these 2,000 students are going to include Grand Cru and Sino, so that we have school feeding across the 15 counties, although not all the primary schools. But the idea is to, in fiscal year 26 and onward, is to make sure our primary schools, over 2,000 primary schools, are beneficiaries of the school feeding program. So, Honorable, that's where we are with the funding for school feeding. You asked about...
Follow up with the school feeding. You just reported that you are constructing 25 across the country.
Correct.
So I just want to understand the approach, because there are more than 25 public schools. What is the exact number of public schools? Information?
Mr. Chairman, the information here is that from CDF question is was that whether or not the minister can provide a detailed list of schools that have been. And I believe it might not be here. It's something that she can take note and supply the committee with them.
Tomorrow. It's
detailed
list of schools
that are receiving
benefit the school feeding. So it's something that you can
that
take
right
note.
now. Okay.
Yeah. So let me continue. You will provide the information. We are now in a hurry between today and tomorrow, midday. Yeah. So my question is, I want to understand the concept. There are more than 900 public schools where you are constructing 25 centers. Is it per county? Will there be a responsible staff to coordinate and distribute? Or are you preparing kitchens to prepare the food and distribute? Or is it going to go down to the schools per county or per structure? I don't know. I really want to understand the concept, because I think the numbers cannot match the schools. Yeah.
So with the public schools, Honorable Presiding, as you indicated, the focus is primary first. So of the 900 that you indicated, and I need to look at the latest school census that we've done, the focus would be primary schools. And of those primary schools, enrollment in the school, right? And areas where we need to beef up the school feeding program and support. In addition to doing this, we've engaged WFP to support the ministry in delivering school feeding, like a whole school feeding structure. So while the 25 may seem small, the number of beneficiaries that is going to impact is important. The idea is this is phase one. We can't do everything in 1 year, but at least let's get the place where the food not only is going to be prepared, but how it's going to be served to the students. So there's the feeding centers will have seating areas for the kids to come and sit like any other school anywhere in the world, that kids will come and sit dignified to eat their meals, and the cooks will be there to prepare in a kitchen that adheres to health and precautionary standards.
Again, my question goes to the number of centers matching the needs. If they are going to get into preparation of the food and distribution of the food, let's take Maryland County for example. Let me assume that maybe out of the 25, 1 or 2 will go to Maryland County. We have minimum 15 counties. So if we were doing a straight line division, at least 1 or 2, because they are not 30, 1 or 2. If that center is going to be built in Harper, we have 3 districts, and the districts are wide with school covering the entire district. So how are they going to give the food to the schools? From Harper to Callaway to people? How is it going to happen? Contrary to what WFP was doing, let's just provide some information of what WFP was doing. WFP had a requirement that the school has to reach, particularly sanitation, and then the kitchen the school must have a kitchen, a storeroom that is meeting the standards, and then they give you the school, they give the food to the school, and the school is prepared. The food is prepared right there in the school. But this is contrary to the central approach. You're going to build one center, prepare food, have a very nice seating capacity, maybe good, staff, blah blah blah. But how is it going to reach out to the many elementary schools?
So the model that we are testing